morning, beautiful people. Happy weekend. Happy June 20th. Today's reading starts with, it's not a person, and I can actually pronounce it. It's a program saying, recovery is a journey, not a destination. There's no single point we reach when we are recovered, when everything is all done and in order. It's not that easy, nor should it be. Recovery is a process, a way of living that supports and revitalizes us physically, mentally, and spiritually. Recovery becomes the sum total of all our efforts and experiences. It signifies our efforts to change. It is driven by spirituality. We're not ill one day and recovered the next. No one book or concept will do it. It's not an intellectual place or level of understanding. It's not affected by our age or depth of experience. Recovery is something that is part of us every day. We live it. Even during hard times, we know the process of change is happening. It gets better and easier, but it's never really over. It's a new life and one we're thankful for. Today, help me remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination. You believe that? I believe that. Gosh, I guess saying recovery can end or you can graduate and be done with recovery would be like saying you're perfect, right? I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's definitely a journey and not a destination. And I personally am so grateful for that because the things that I'm learning in recovery make me not only gamble per se, but it makes me a better human, I believe. I was a completely horrible listener, for example, and that skill continues to sharpen the more engaged I am in the recovery community. I'll just be silly and say something as little as my vocabulary with us doing the word of the night, the words and letters of the night games, or just reading to you. Those are all developmental for me, getting over my fear to talk in this microphone. Being mindful of other people, the step 12 work about paying it forward. If I'm putting effort into doing service, then I am growing and becoming a better human. I don't think, at least the way my journey's unfolding, is that we could ever know everything and anything, and that we could ever heal or cure everything that's going on in our minds or our bodies. Because something's always happening. There's always going to be the next day. We talked about bad days earlier this week, and bad days are going to happen, and that's okay. But learning how to handle them is part of our recovery, and whatever skills we acquire during that is, again, contributing to us being a better human. The other experiences that I have because of the journey are the things like the sober travel or connecting with people and trying things that I never did before. When I was in Kansas City, we would go to, there was a small group of us women, and we would pick a monthly outing, and we went to dinner theater, and I'm pretty sure it was only the second time I had ever gone to dinner theater, and then I ended up really liking it. We went to paint and sip, which, again, I probably wouldn't have done. We went to a cooking class. If I wasn't in recovery, I probably wouldn't have tried any of those things. But I got some nice experience and journey. The journey was that I tried these new things. Now, dinner theater would be one of the things that I want to hit when I go back to Kansas City. It was a great night out. Great people. Some of us may think that recovery's punishment. And if we take this reframing about recovery and the journey and look at what we're learning and who we can be and how it can strengthen our relationships, it becomes an opportunity. And if the journey means waking up and maybe sitting still with yourself in your mind for a couple minutes, or going outside and watching a sunset, or being kind to a stranger, or having, a clearer conversation with a child, a more meaningful, thoughtful conversation where you're talking to your child about, life stuff or silly stuff or whatever, but being present to experience that too. That's another part of the journey. If your mind's not racing for the next bet, then it's a whole lot easier to appreciate these moments in time along the way on the journey. Love this thinking. Love my journey. I hope that if you're listening to this, you're finding your way, and your journey is recovery as well, so that you can experience some of the beautiful things that I'm learning to experience. And I know there's still so much more that I haven't figured out or discovered yet, which also makes it exciting because it gives me something to look forward to as well. So think about that. That'll be your weekend thoughts. Are you looking at it like a journey? Are you taking time to smell the roses? Or do you still have some, I don't want to say resentment, but apprehension about being really immersed in recovery? Does that still make you have like a little bit of a uncomfortable feeling in your belly? And that's, it's understandable. Like, I know that some people in my life really struggled with it in the concept of, well, recovery isn't my identity. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that a bet-free life and paying attention to the journey and being mindful of it and staying in recovery is, I think, what we need to focus on. It doesn't have to, whatever you call it, and you don't have to call it anything like to the major public, but recover your mind and your brain. Our brains, we programmed the whole time we were gambling. Our brains need time to recover. I was gambling for over 30 years, so my brain is not going to heal and recover overnight. When I hear Walk Like an Egyptian on the radio, my brain knows that song from probably thousands of times on a slot machine and only maybe hundreds of times on the radio. So I have to reprogram and recover my thinking on that one song, for example. That's just one of many that are, triggers essentially for me. It's interesting that still happens. But again, I have to be like, oh, okay, it's been 30 years. I can excuse myself for my brain reacting that way. Which is also, for someone like me who likes the challenge of growing and evolving, I'm so grateful when I have those moments. And even more grateful when I recognize that they're happening. That's kind of the fun of it. It's kind of like having your personal best when you're running a marathon or a 10K. It's about progressing and getting better physically in that case. And I enjoy it from a progressing and getting better in a mental case, a mindful case. I don't know the right vocabulary. So much for my theory about me learning. Just kidding. I do learn a lot. All right, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I will chat with you tomorrow morning. Thanks. Bye.